Greetings from Tokyo, my dear friends. This is Daisuke, and I very much hope that this video finds you well and in very good spirits wherever you are in the world. And today, if you don't mind, I would very much like to continue and conclude our discussions on 1970s disaster movies. We have had discussions over the past 31 days, and today, the 31st day, I'd like to focus our attention, if I may, on one of the most iconic and spectacular entertainments from this particular genre and era, and it is one of my favorites as well. This is from 1974. The director is John Guillermin. Music by John Williams. Screenplay by Sterling Sullivan, based upon the novels, which is The Tower by Richard Martin Stern and The Glass Inferno by Thomas N. Scorsia and Frank M. Robinson. And this is a co-production between 20th Century Fox and Warner Brothers, produced by Irwin Allen. And it has an extraordinary cast, included in which are Steve McQueen and Paul Newman, Faye Dunaway, William Holden, Susan Blakely, Richard Chamberlain, Fred Astaire, Jennifer Jones, Robert Vaughn, and others. This is, as I say, an epic entertainment, a true classic of the genre, and I'm so happy to be able to share with you some thoughts and comments that I have about the film. The Towering Inferno. The Towering Inferno is, in essence, about the opening of the skyscraper, the glass tower, that is in San Francisco, California, and it is considered to be a design achievement in terms of its height, and the tallest skyscraper, and also the luxury that's associated with it. It's a residential complex as well as a commercial complex, and it has state-of-the-art technology and design and look, so it is a true luxury location. And we happen to come across this during the opening ceremonies, which is a gala event, and many famous people are invited to join in the party and festivities high up on one of the floors in this glass tower. And we meet along the way a number of characters that are involved in one way or another, such as Paul Newman, and his character is, of course, the architect, and William Holden, who plays the builder, or the head, or the head of the company that built this particular achievement. And we also have Richard Chamberlain's character, and also Susan Blakely's character, and Faye Dunaway's character, and others. And we also have certain people who are part of the business and running the building in some form or another, or who are residents of the building and who are, through certain circumstances, invited to participate in, as I say, the opening gala event party that is happening on this very night. And unfortunately, however, for all the characters involved, the building has certain issues, we understand, with regard to its electricity and wiring system. And because of these issues that have not yet been resolved, or they have been identified but rather too late, because we as viewers become privy to the information or knowledge that there are fires that are started or ignited or come about because of certain of these circumstances involving the systems, the internal systems. And the fire spreads and spreads and spreads. And of course, it is a very dangerous situation. It is very widespread within this glass tower complex, and so many people are involved. They are trapped. There are many different parts or components or settings or subplots that involve this particular reach of the disaster, and also the characters and the drama, melodrama, and soap opera elements that accompany their particular character subplots and character arcs. And then when the disaster hits and becomes identified, we have the fire rescue team coming in, and that is led, of course, by the fire chief, played by Steve McQueen. And so we have the efforts of all of the people that are trying their best to put out the fire and to save as many lives as possible and to prevent further disaster and havoc from occurring during this particular night. And will things be okay? Will the people be saved from the towering inferno? So this is, in many ways, my friends, one of the greatest examples of the disaster film genre from the 1970s. We had this, and we had the Poseidon Adventure a couple years prior. And so with these two films, in many ways, Irwin Allen solidified his legacy in terms of the types of films that became very popular, especially during this early period of the early 1970s. And so the Towering Inferno is part of that legacy, of course, and it is so because it is a prime example of this type of disaster movie entertainment. It has so many very intriguing set pieces and design pieces. The look of the tower itself is very intriguing and very has a modern feel to it. So the design elements are very interesting, and also we have the idea of height and glass, and so that gives rise to always being reminded of the fact that many of the people who are in the building are somewhere very, very, very high up. And so we have not just the danger of the flames and the fire that are slowly making their ways up the floors to the eventual party situation, but we also have the danger of course, people from at a great height, and the scary elements that are involved with heights of that sort. And then the glass, of course, augmenting or emphasizing the fact that we are indeed very, very high up and the building is on fire. And the action set pieces involving the fire itself, the spread of the fire, the firefighters trying to stop the flames, people being attacked or otherwise confronted by the danger of the flames and the smoke. It is very effective in terms of the feel and look of it, and also the immediacy of it. One can really get a sense of the danger and threat, of course, right, that is involved with a particular disaster like this as it's being depicted. And so there is a real sense of danger and suspense that is being portrayed here. Also, what's really great about this in regards to, say, the spread of the disaster element, the information that is provided to us, I think, is very well presented. It is a big place, it is a large building, but the film has this great way of keeping everything pretty much in track, as it were, or we are able as viewers to follow along with the various corridors and rooms and floors. We get a sense of the geography and we get a sense of the landscape. And so when we get that sense, and when we see the fire or the flames attack, then I think we can understand exactly what the risks are, where characters are vis-a-vis each other and the particular structure. And so the film delivers this information very well and very clearly, I would suggest. And so we get a sense of exactly what the threat is at what particular time in the film. And that makes the film even more, even scarier, as it were. So that is another aspect that I think makes this very effective. And of course we have the wonderful and enthralling and quite entertaining aspects that are part of, say, the cast of characters. The drama, melodrama, and soap opera aspects are turned up and their volumes and pitches are very high indeed, to levels that are truly entertaining. Some are very charming, others are very romantic, there are others that are very sweet and tender, and there's also intrigue and jealousy and rivalry. I'm speaking in particular about the relationship dynamic between and among the characters played by, say, Paul Newman and William Holden and Richard Chamberlain, and the risk and also the guilt that the characters feel, and in terms of their responsibility and their feelings and senses of responsibility in terms of what exactly they have done and their roles in this particular disaster that has ultimately wreaked havoc among the people who are involved in this particular opening night. And so I really appreciate that balance, if you will, of various character arcs. And in particular, for example, the Paul Newman and William Holden characters, I think, show this great sense of, say, a heaviness of spirit in terms of the type of guilt and responsibility that each feels in his own way. And speaking of the characters, or the cast of characters, what I love too is how each of the character stories or subplots are all set off or set about, and they are running almost parallel with each other all at once, and we see the various ways in which they cross paths and are related to each other, and the relationships that are forming or that are emerging and that are evolving and that are tested in one way or another because of the particular disaster that is before them all. And so I love that sense of all these pieces that are moving at the same time. In relation to that also, I really admire and appreciate how the rescue operations themselves are also running all at the same time. It's not just one specific rescue operation, it's a variety of different operations or plans that are enacted in order to confront a particular immediate situation in a given moment. And so I really appreciate that too. I love how it is a very complex affair with many moving pieces running at the same time. And so that involves a lot of subplots, a lot of subplots, a lot of characters that we see here, and then we go there, and then we go here, and we go back here, and we go back there. But we never lose track because, as I say, everything is so well presented in terms of the information. We understand who these characters are, and we feel the immediate danger and risk element in each of these new situations that we as viewers are witness to. And I think that is a marvelous, or an example of how marvelous the construction of this film is, and just how it keeps us ever engaged with each different story and each different character arc that comes along the way. And it balances it so well in terms of the action set pieces, and then the quieter moments, and then to the more intimate moments, and then back to another action set piece. Yet more information is being presented, yet another development of the disaster is being presented. We go to a different part of the geography of the building, another character is introduced, or another thread is introduced, and so on and so forth. And this type of, say, dazzling sort of pacing continues forth from the beginning all the way to the end, and I think we are still left knowing exactly what is going on, the clarity of the situation as it's presented to us in the cinematic form, and the situations in the plural, right? Because there are many that are presented and many characters that are presented. And so this film does a magnificent job, a dazzling job in terms of keeping the balance, as well as maintaining the air of threat, as well as reminding us who these characters are as individuals, and reminding us what their particular stories or issues are in terms of their own character arcs, or the way that they're relating to other characters in the film. The performances are brilliant, they are believable, they are moving, they are heroic, they are quite surprising in a lot of ways, and they are always quite enthralling and engaging. And so We have yet another great disaster film with epic set pieces, well-established characters, great performances, a wonderful score, and an overall feel and look of excitement, of terror, of suspense, and of action, which is, it's not just an example of a disaster movie of the 1970s. It is one of the great examples of disaster movies of the 1970s. And on a personal note, I should say that I saw this film as a kid. Again, it was broadcast on TV, or if I remember correctly, when I was young, there was an occasion where it was broadcast over 2 nights, if I recall correctly. So it was divided into a part 1 and part 2, if I recall. And so that was and I remember where the break was. It came at a particular moment involving the character of Paul Newman and the character of Jennifer Jones, and so that meant that I saw this as a kid on TV, and also I revisited it on VHS or wherever it was rebroadcast, and I could catch it again on, say, a TV showing or something like that. And every single time, I was enthralled. I thought it was amazing, and I thought it was thrilling and scary and shocking. And there were a lot of things that I didn't quite understand at the time, but just I was still engaged with it. And even now, when I watch it, I'm dazzled. I'm truly dazzled by the scope of the epic nature of this, while it is still giving us these intimate character details and stories with great performances. And every single time, my friends, whenever I see this, I am engaged truly and thoroughly. This is one of, as I say, my favorite films from the disaster film genre of the 1970s, and it could be my favorite. It's tough to choose between, say, this and the Poseidon Adventure, for example, but depending on my mood, depending on the day of the week, depending on when the question is asked, if the question were to be asked of me, what is my favorite disaster movie of the 1970s, on a given day I could very easily say The Towering Inferno. It is truly a magnificent epic of the genre, and yes, what a great, great film this is, my dear friends. This is The Towering Inferno. Okay, my friends, so that is it as far as 31 days of discussions on 1970s disaster movies. And I want to thank everyone who joined me and joined us along for this particular journey. I really enjoyed being able to speak with you and to hear your reactions. I met a lot of great people along the way who shared with me their own thoughts and experiences going to the movie theater and watching the films in the theater or at drive-ins, feeling the sound systems, giving me details and perspectives, and just sharing wonderful stories about watching these movies. And so I want to thank all of you so much for giving me a little bit of your time and your energy in showing me, and in fact reminding me just why it is these films are so exciting and entertaining to begin with. And speaking of the films, you know, I did focus on a film, one discussion film per day. And so 31 days, and in that discussion, of course, that meant that I did not discuss, say, other disaster movies of the particular genre that I could have. And so if I didn't speak about a film that you were keen on or something like that, I really apologize. I hope it was okay, but if just know that I know that there are many films that I could have spoken about, but I didn't. And maybe one of these days, who knows, if you are interested, maybe we can have something like this again, more 31 days of disaster movies discussions or something of the sort, because I know that there are many others out there that we can talk about, and I'd really love the opportunity. But in the meantime, my friends, once again, Truly, I want to thank you so much for being just great film enthusiasts, and for always providing your insights and inspiration for these and other films, because it really means a lot, and I just want to thank you so much. It's so fun to be able to speak with you about this thing that we all love, which is cinema. And so it's been my pleasure to share with you some thoughts and comments that I had about these films from this particular era and this particular genre. So one of these days, maybe we can talk again very soon about these films, 1970s disaster movies. Okay, my friends, so that's it for now. And so until we meet again, please be happy and healthy and well, and please keep on watching a lot of great, great movies. Thank you so much, as always, for your time. I very much appreciate it. Stay strong, stay safe, and cheers.